Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. We're streaming live on YouTube. We on Facebook. And, of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Oh, yeah. It's Thursday. Y'all know what that means. The scientific method. Patrik No C Walker will be joining us at DallasCowboys.com fairly shortly here. Talking about the defensive end room a little bit more. I want to dive into it, get his bird's eye view on boots on the ground, actually, insight to that room heading into camp, Cowboys Nation. And of course, you can call into the show a little bit later. 351-999-3787 is a call-in line, but hold tight because we want to get through the first part of the show. And in the roundup, we will hear from one of the defensive ends, and that is DeMarcus Lawrence. All right? What's good, Bomb Squad? How y'all doing?
Bomb Squad!
Whether you like it or you don't, you're going to learn to love it because it's the best thing going today. You got to join the Bomb Squad, ladies and gentlemen. You just have to. If you're not here at the start of the show, you miss the energy. You miss getting your Cowboys news and nuggets and takes and analysts and all that stuff. You miss it at the beginning of the day. You got to start off your day here at A to Z Sports Live, Skywalker Morning Show, man. All right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump straight into the roundup, hear from D-Law, come out of that, and we're going to talk to our guy, Patrik No C Walker. All right? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Man, I got some energy today, if y'all can't tell. So do my guy, D-Law. D-Law joined the AP Pro Football Podcast, and they were asking DeMarcus Lawrence. They said, you know, the Eagles are running away with the division, right? I mean, what's the gap looking like? D-Law said, not so fast, my friend. I don't feel like, and this is his quote, I don't feel like it's a huge gap at all. Okay? That was his response. He also spoke about the details and where this team is at defensively in that locker room heading into camp. And this was his quote. I feel like it comes down to certain details, not just the scheme, but also your locker room. I feel like through this time right now, when we're headed to training camp, that we made those adjustments. We learned those different things that we needed to learn about our teammates so we can fully function the way we should out there on the field. Kind of the same sentiment on the defense side of the ball that we're hearing on the offense side of the ball, right? Details. We all want to be on the same page. Not that the defense, suffered or lacked that much last year, but you did see, if you guys remember, I bring this up a lot. Around that Eagles game, there was a point in that locker room where guys were like, hey, man, we got to do our job. We're not doing our job, and that's causing this or causing that. So DeMarcus Lawrence understands the details. He's been around locker rooms like this he's the leader in that locker room, right? Like, he knows what it takes, I think, to make sure that you have a successful defense, especially up front. And again, that is a guy in a point in time where we're going to talk about the defensive line room. So without further ado, Cowboys Nation, we're going to jump straight into this thing and get right into the scientific method. Or are we? Here we go. When you hear that, you just know what that means. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Patrik No C Walker of DallasCowboys.com, my good brother. First of all, I just want to say thank you. I gave you your flowers the other day for your conversation podcast for, what was it, Father's Day?
Yeah,
really,
that was
really hit home, man.
Father's Day episode. Yeah,
really hit home, and I hope y'all really went out there and took a listen to that because it was a good one.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, still, it's a blessing as always to just talk with you, brother. Just every single time, it's a blessing. Offline, online, all the time, about everything that we talk about. But ladies and gentlemen, the conversation with a K, it's live. It's on Patreon. Download the Patreon app or go to patreon.com/the conversation. It is my official mental health podcast. We are now 2 episodes in. This most recent episode was kind of a Father's Day / Juneteenth episode addressing, men and men of color as far as some of the traumas that we've not necessarily had to inherit, but we inherited nonetheless from our parents and who, inherited it from their grandparents, and how we can break the cycle, how we can break generational curses and not pass these demons on to our kids, because they're going to have their own set of challenges. So let's not make life more difficult for them simply because we were not able to or willing to man up. And man being MHAN, mental health awareness now, man up and look in the mirror and say it has to stop now. So if you haven't checked out that episode, it is available both video and audio version at patreon.com/the conversation, or download the app.
Make sure y'all give that a listen. Please do. So when you talk about man up, for this defensive line room, it's kind of about next man up, right? And in a good way.
I like that. Smooth. That's bars.
You like that?
That's bars. That's finesse.
For real.
Finesse. For real,
man. I mean, this room, man.
Yeah,
I feel like we talked about this the other day. We did a State of the Union defensive end series, and we were kind of having a conversation that, this room could probably roll out its second unit, and it'd be the first unit on most teams.
That's facts.
Yeah. And you did you guys over at .com are doing a series called Battle Line series. Mm-hmm. And you were focused on the defensive end room. So I kind of want to go down that Battle Line series topics or parts in that article, starting off with the first one there, where you said what needs to go right. And I love what you said where you talk about, man, look, just keep pouring gasoline on this thing.
Yeah.
And then I feel you.
I mean, think about it. Because as we break down these series and I attacked the defensive ends, and as you stated, one of the questions that are baked in is what needs to go right. And when I read that, I literally sat back and kind of laughed to myself, and I said,
not much.
What? Like what? What? The real question is what can go wrong? Anything can go wrong, right. But it's an easier question to answer as far as what can go wrong, what might go wrong versus what needs to go right. Because to this point in the Cowboys' progression in the Dan Quinn era, not much has gone wrong at all, let alone on the defensive front. Talk about a defensive line that now has Micah Parsons co-leading it with DeMarcus Lawrence. And I say co-leading because, to take your words, not so fast. It's not Micah's defense just yet. It is still Tank's defense. And Tank proved that again last year when, people the thing about Tank is, as you well know, still.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah, let me talk to you.
Come on, talk to him.
Let me talk to you. Rumors of DeMarcus Lawrence's demise have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah.
and every year we seem to have this conversation. But I will say, thankfully, it appears that at least this offseason, we're not, and when I say we, I'm talking about Steele, myself, Vach, some of the other, KD, Drummond, some of the other guys who are out there doing the Lord's work when it comes to trying to get everyone to recognize Tank's value. We're not having to fight that fight as much this offseason as we have in recent seasons. And that feels good because I feel like people are starting to understand exactly what DeMarcus Lawrence means to this team. No, he's not going to rack up 12, 13 sacks anymore, but you are going to get anywhere from 6 to 8 sacks, and you're also getting arguably the best run defending edge rusher in the game in DeMarcus Lawrence, coming off of another Pro Bowl season in 2022, tied with Micah Parsons in combined tackles, forced fumbles with 3. He played in all 17 games, and he only had 1 fewer forced fumble than Micah Parsons did last year. So DeMarcus Lawrence is still most certainly the leader in that room, but give roses to Micah Parsons because he is right there as co-captain. But you have those two guys sealing the edges still, and from there it only gets more and more fun.
Yeah.
Because typically when you look around the league, you will have guys like, you know, the Bosa brothers. You got Joey, you got Nick on their respective teams. But then once you get behind them, you have depth issues. You look at guys like Eric Armstead and the Colts, and once you get behind Armstead, you have depth issues. And it's very rare that you come across a team, because even when you look at the Washington Commanders, one of the best defensive fronts in the game, period. I mean, we can objectively say that they, on their best day, they don't have the Cowboys' depth. Same goes for the Eagles, one of the best defensive fronts in the game. On their best day, they can't throw waves and waves. You can go to the third string on the Cowboys, and the third string of edge rushers could be starters for most, if not any other team in the league. So talk about Sam Williams primed to have a breakout year. Dante
we'll
Fowler.
get to him for sure.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get to him. Dante Fowler had a resurgent year in his reunion with Dan Quinn in 2022, and he's back on another deal. Dorrance Armstrong, we need to talk about how he had a breakout season, right? Second most sacks on the team, behind only Micah Parsons last year. And it just goes on and on from there. So kudos to Dan Quinn and the Cowboys, because the front office has basically given Dan Quinn everything he wants, no matter what he's asking for. And it keeps working. And the things that don't work, and I have to say this because this is something that if you've been following the Cowboys long enough, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm about to say is very, very true. The Cowboys tend to have an aversion to admitting when something's not working. That's not been the case in the Quinn McCarthy era, right? Mike Nolan lasted one season and he was out of there. Now you look at from a player perspective, a roster perspective, Keanu O'Neal, one season, didn't work, goodbye. DeMonte Kazee, one season, didn't work, bye. And Tack McKinley, whom I was a huge fan of coming out of UCLA, didn't even get a full season, came in mid-season, signed to a futures deal, and he's out the building. They bring in Ben Banogu to try to see what he can do in training camp. This Cowboys team, one of the main reasons this Cowboys defense and defensive line is as stout as it is because they don't waste time in trying to and giving you an opportunity to determine either you're ready for what comes next or you're not. And if you're not, then shake hands and, you know, good luck on your next team.
Yeah, they'll give you a shot to be the next man up. But if you do not answer the bell, I mean, they're moving on.
You get one shot. You get one. Keanu O'Neal got one shot. DeMonte Kazee in the secondary, he got one shot. Tack McKinley, like I said, he got one shot. If you're not coming into this program, and I say program because it's starting to feel like Dan Quinn is running a collegiate program. If you're not coming into this program ready to do some work and ready to support Micah and DeMarcus Lawrence and those guys behind them, then you're not going to last in Dan Quinn's system. You got to put up numbers. You got to make an impact in some way. And I love it. And now, arguably, and I say arguably because somebody's going to argue it, but I'll say it inarguably, I think that this is the best defensive line in the NFL.
I don't even – I mean, you could argue it if you want, but I'm up there with you. I talked about this the other day. I think from a depth standpoint, and I know we could discuss the interior, and that'll be another day, but from a depth standpoint, from edge rushers, it's hard to find another team that can go 1 through, 5 or so?
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
It's
how many rushers.
And
really it's literally –
Williams alone.
I mean, if you look at the draft pedigree too, you're talking about multiple first rounders, you're talking about multiple second rounders, right? And then guys like Dorrance, who people would love to have a Dorrance as their third or fourth or fifth, depending if you really look at pure pass rushing guy. Think about that for a second. Your second leading sack guy last year is arguably your fourth best pass rusher.
Correct.
Like, do y'all understand what?
I don't know
It's kind of
if
crazy.
it's sinking. Like they need to absorb what you're saying right now. This is how stacked this Cowboys defensive line. This is one of the best talent-wise. This is one of the best defensive fronts that we've seen in Dallas in a generation, and that is no exaggeration.
So you said that, or the question. Let me answer this question here, where it says not the biggest challenge, but the what needs to go right. Stay healthy. That's pretty much what it is.
That's what can go wrong because that's always the thing that can go wrong. Yeah. But and again, we're sitting here talking about depth, and you don't want anyone to get injured at any point but it's an occupational hazard, and inevitably somebody may go down and they may lose a game or two, whatever the case may be. Should that happen, the Cowboys are more equipped than any other team in the league to withstand that for any period of time. 1 game, 2 games, 5 games, whatever. It quite literally is next man up. And typically when you hear that from a team, it's, you look at the next man that might be up, and the question marks start popping in your head.
You're nervous,
right? Kind of like over Miles Morales' head. It's kind of like, right? And you wonder, but you don't wonder about Sam Williams if he has to step in because, player X, and I'll say player X and player Y because I don't want to put bad mojo on guys. But if player X goes down, you don't worry about Sam Williams. If player Y goes down, you don't worry about Dorrance Armstrong. And the list goes on and on from there, because you're also going to get some DE play from a guy like Overshown, right? Because right now looks like Overshown is positionless, so you're going to get some edge play from him, quiet as it's kept. And I don't know if people read one of my mini camp reviews, but I did put in there LVE took some snaps off of the edge as an edge rusher. Dan Quinn is getting frisky. So at no point,
we need him to dial that back, though. We don't need him down.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm just saying that Dan Quinn is getting frisky, and the overarching point is that the Cowboys can throw wave 1, 2, and 3 at you, and wave 3 will not have much of a fall off from wave 1, and that's insanity. That is insanity.
One of the guys, though, and this is my biggest question, because in the article there's a biggest question part of it. One of the guys, Junior Fehoko, okay. Coach Floyd came in, and Coach Floyd was like, hey, eventually we want to look to move him inside, right? But Coach Floyd said he looks at him as a guy that's going to play this year, at edge. So my question is, how, Sway?
How, Sway?
How? You don't got the answers, Pat.
We don't. It's a beautiful problem. It is such a beautiful problem because and I know everybody calls him Junior. I really just love the name Viliami. Like I don't know. It sounds better to me when I say Viliami, ran through your face. Right. That's more artistic. Like I like it.
It's classy.
Right? It's classy, right? It's like pinky up, right? But Viliami, aka Junior Fehoko, I was big on him coming out. And you look at his motor, go and look at his film. He's an absolute animal. And I said it before. I said it on this program still. He chooses violence on a day-to-day basis when it comes to playing between the lines. Outside the lines, he's as smiley-faced as you can get. But once the bright lights come on and, that uniform gets on, he's running through some guys. Now, how does he get to the edge? Got a lot of love for you, Coach Floyd, but I don't see it in 23.
Yeah.
I think that's a long-term development, and not necessarily from the skill set side of the equation, but because there are too many bodies on the edge that you have to manufacture snaps for, because there are only so many defensive snaps in the game. And the prevailing question on the edge right now, and I think we can all agree, is we all love that Dante Fowler is back. We do. But we also understand that Quinn needs to, and I believe he needs to make sure that the presence of Fowler doesn't become a progress stopper for a guy like Sam Williams. So when you go into training camp and the preseason and the regular season this year, and you have that mindset knowing that Sam Williams deserves more snaps. I mean, the guy had 6 sacks with no starts last year. His efficiency of his production is just through the roof. His potential is through the roof. You're going to get him more snaps. So you want Sam Williams to get more snaps, but Dante Fowler has more than proven that he deserves his snaps. But then Dorrance, and primarily Dorrance will back up DeMarcus, but Dorrance also takes snaps off of the right every once in a while. So you got things to figure out on the edges, and you'll see Fehoko out there a time or two, but I think he will begin on the interior, and then they'll work him outward from there.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the rookies I'm really keeping my eye on, is where do they move him? Because he's a versatile cat, right? But he's 267, so sliding inside early is going to be tough to be a full-time 3-tech. So maybe they'll use him like a early Golston, where Golston was kind of moved around.
You got it.
A little bit around the same size. I think they were too, about 265 or so. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on him. You brought up Sam, and that was the next part of the article, Battle to Watch. And it was about Sam, Slam, thank you, ma'am, Williams. And the more I think about Sam Williams and where he could slot in, I don't think he's necessarily battling one specific person. I think he's battling being the third guy on this defensive end rotation, like being that dude. He's got that kind of talent. So it might not just be one dude. It might be Fowler he's dealing with. It's Dorrance he's dealing with. I don't know if Overshown's going to be able to crack that, but it's a bunch of guys that'll be fighting behind those two. But I do think Sam has that talent, Pat, to eventually, rise up and be that third guy behind the top two. I do.
Sam is him.
Yeah.
Well, he's a him because there are like 3 or 4 or 5 hymns on this team because Tank is him and Micah is him and Sam is him, and it kind of goes from there. But Sam definitely has a lot of him in him. This is a guy who still owns the school sack record for Ole Miss, and he can get after quarterbacks. And the only knock, and it's not even necessarily a big knock because he's shown that he can defend the run, but from what I see in that capacity, he can improve there. So if he gets that part of his game up to anywhere near Tank's level of run defense, we'll combined with the motor he has and the ability he has to get after the quarterback and cause disruptions in the backfield. It felt like every other time he took a snap in 2022, he was in the backfield in some capacity, even if it wasn't a sack. And for those that really pay attention to the game, the science is disruptions are more valuable than sacks. Because disruptions can also create takeaways. And then the argument becomes, is a takeaway more valuable than a sack? I would argue that it is, unless the sack turns into a takeaway, i.e. forced fumble. Yeah. So that's a conversation to have. But Sam Williams, Sam Williams, I believe that talent-wise, he's primed to be the third best pass rusher on the team behind Micah and Tank. That is obviously no knock to Fowler. Run the segment back. I said Fowler deserves to be here. He deserves his snaps. But that being said, Fowler is not the long-term answer as far as the number 3 is concerned, or even the number 2, because you could argue that between Dorrance and Sam, you're grooming for Tank's replacement in the next 2 to 3 years. So that's going to be either Dorrance or Sam. So who's Sam going up against? He's going up against Dorrance Armstrong. He's going up against Dante Fowler because there are levels to this, right? So Tank and Micah secured. They're not competing with anybody except themselves. And then tier 2, you have Sam versus Dante versus Dorrance. And then you peel back from there and you have guys like Ben Banogu, who was brought in here on the back end of minicamp. He's going to go up against Tyrus Wheaton and Darrell Johnson and those kinds of guys. And I feel like I'm missing somebody because it's so many. But yeah, that's more or less who Sam is going to be up against, those two guys, Dante and
Darrell Johnson. I mean, these are kind of the undrafted guys. I don't really think he's going to be competing with them. But
no, that's a different tier altogether. Those guys have to earn a roster spot. Right. Banogu, Johnson, they have to earn a roster spot.
You got a chance to speak with Coach AD, Aiden Durday. Am I saying that
right?
Yeah.
I never can. Aiden Durday.
I did it.
Right. The Bond villain. The Bond villain.
I could listen to him. I don't know why they don't put him in front of the camera more. I can listen to him talk.
Dude, and when I tell you, as fun and informational as he is on camera, even more so off camera. Like, he's the same dude all the time. He is such a pleasure to have these football conversations with. And then, of course, the Bond villain accent thing, that just takes it over the top. It just takes everything.
But in all seriousness, though, he really does give you quality bites and quality insight. And he did on Sam Williams, talking about the nuances of the game. You've been down there at OTAs. You've been down there at minicamp. Have you been able to see Sam work on those things? I know we got like pictures of him and Mike on the side, but are you seeing some of these things kind of translate as much as you can, given its OTAs and minicamp?
I am. Everything Aiden's saying is absolutely true. And for those that missed the article on what Aiden said about Sam, he's basically saying the difference between year 1 Sam and year 2 Sam is the level of professionalism in the realm of how he attacks his development. He, as a rookie, he came in, as most rookies do, and they wait to be told what to do as far as how to develop and how to improve in this capacity or that capacity on the field. Well, that's what Sam Williams was last year, and still had a very, very good year as a rookie. And he displayed his flash to show that he has an all-pro ability if he can piece it all together, and I believe he can. Year 2, Sam's not waiting to get that from the coaches. So while he's taking everything in the coaches are saying, when practice is over, he's still working on his own craft. When he goes home, he's still working on it. He's developing. He's more than ever picking the brain of Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. And he's really actively self-motivated and trying to get to the next level. And it's translating, because looking at him, granted they were in shorts, but looking at him in OTAs and minicamp, as good as he looked in year one, he looks a bit faster. His feet look a bit more decisive. His hands are more decisive. His technique is a bit more refined. So then when I have the conversation with Durde and he says things like what he said in regards to Sam's self-motivation and hitting the next level, I've already seen that happening and manifesting itself, materializing on the field. So when Aiden says it, all that is confirmation of what I've already been seeing. I am extremely anxious in a great way to get out to Oxnard and see Sam Williams' development, because as we have this conversation, he's likely doing exactly what we're talking about. He's not at home playing Madden. You don't see him tweeting and doing a whole bunch of IG stuff. He's probably working on his craft, because he understands that when he enters training camp, he is up against the more proven guy in Dante. He is up against Dorrance Armstrong, coming off of the best year he's had with the Cowboys, who's also a front office favorite, Dorrance is. So Sam knows he has his work cut out for him, but what's working in his favor is his work ethic was always strong, but now it's next level. Coaches are starting to take notice of it. It's starting to manifest itself on the field. So I can't beat this drum enough. And I feel like I've been beating it, but I'm going to keep beating it. I think this is the Sam Williams 10-sack season.
You had that as your bold prediction.
That's my bold prediction.
Yeah, and a lot of people are kind of on that train there with Sam Williams kind of having to break out in 10 sacks. And I know he wants to get 10 sacks, but I don't think it's far-fetched given we've seen a guy like Dante get 6 in very small snaps, Dante Fowler, that is. But when you start talking about how he looks faster out there, he quite literally probably isn't faster because he's already a 4-4 type of guy, but the mental aspect, right? Like we often hear players say, I'll be slower out there because of my, I'm thinking too much, or I'll look faster because I know what I'm doing. And Cam Jordan was at
that part.
Yeah, that part right there. It was Cam Jordan at Von Miller's camp who said something very similar. And you also heard Michael Parsons talk about smooth is fast. Fast is slow. Like whatever he was saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, so Micah dropped that nugget, but that's real though. If you're mentally processing things at a elite level, you'll look faster out there, i.e. Sean Lee.
Think about it this way, and I have a better IE for you that's more recent. And it's in everybody's brain right now to see how it plays out. Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah.
Jalen Tolbert played extremely slow last year. He was kind of disheveled. He didn't, because he was overthinking. He was trying too hard to figure out things. But now, as we go through OTAs and minicamp, and we'll see how things turn out in training camp for Tolbert. The reason Tolbert is making plays that we didn't see him making last offseason is because in the conversation I had with Tolbert, he specifically alluded to what we're talking about right now. When you don't have to think, you play faster. And so when it becomes muscle memory, when the technique becomes muscle memory, when the playbook becomes second nature to you, then yes, you can just go out there and play ball, because you don't have to worry, okay, what am I supposed to be at 3 or at 4 technique? Okay, am I dropping back in coverage? Damn, what was that call again? When you can just go out there and play, you can go out there and do damage at a faster rate. And that's what I'm starting to see with Sam Williams. He was already, and the difference between he and Tolbert is he picked up most of the playbook pretty quickly. He didn't look overwhelmed at all in 2022. Sam Williams didn't. He looked ready for the NFL. And that was still only year one. And he was a rotational guy with no starts, 6 sacks, disruptive.
It felt like it was a pit bull on a leash that we were holding back, just to keep everybody safe.
Man,
Sam
is going to be something. And I think it's wildly unfair in the best possible way that the Cowboys are able to field a defense that has Tank, Micah, and Sam, and then Dorrance, and also, by the way, Dante Fowler, and then you start to peel back. You look at the second level and Damone Clark, the steal of last year's draft, and Leighton Vander Esch playing at a high level. Then Stephon Gilmore, Diggs,
safety room is
the safety room, the 3-headed monster. It's wildly unfair, and I could not love it more.
Yeah,
I couldn't love it more. So again, circling back for me, this is Sam Williams' breakout year, and if he gets the reps that I feel like he deserves, and I feel like Dan Quinn will make sure he gets, peel back the penalties a little bit, but keep in mind some of those penalties were BS. Like we all know, like some of those penalties he was accountable for. Some of those they were like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, get the refs off of his back. Let the kid play ball. He's leveled up mentally as far as football IQ, which was already solid. Now it seems like it's hit another level. Looks like he's added a little bit of muscle. And in addition to that, he's faster. He's playing.
Big. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's playing more decisive. Look, I walked past the dude in the locker room, and I'm not a small dude, but you walk past that dude, and it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm not a big dude either, because that's a big dude. But he's muscle mass.
Yeah.
Right, and which is a whole different conversation, because you have people like Mozzie Smith. He only looks 270.
No,
that's because that's because you don't know what pure muscle looks like. That's all.
Yeah.
And
that's
so,
another.
And also,
why,
real quick, and shout out to Sam Williams for recently holding his youth football camp as well. So when you talk about being a professional, consummate professional, he's learning how to give back to the community as well. So just on all fronts,
Yes.
I'm a big champion of Sam Williams getting his reps so he can get that 10 sack season this year. Because if he does that, in addition to what Micah is doing, and Tank's still at a high level, and Dante and Dorrance, and I mean, we're just talking about the edge rushers. We haven't even gone to the middle. We mentioned Mozzie, but we haven't gone to the middle. But when you throw Mozzie and Jonathan Hankins in there, and also Diggy Zua, and Chauncey Ghost and his needle was pointing. I mean, this defensive line, it starts on the interior, but the edge rushers are really who's gonna dictate on a week-to-week basis how effective the Cowboys are going to be, and by all accounts, they're going to be the most effective in the league.
I think so, and I don't. So one of the last topic, I guess it was in the segment, or not the segment, in your article, was biggest challenge. But before I get to that real quick, I kind of want to throw something different at you here, Pat, to involve the viewers, if you don't mind.
Wait, did Voch just tap in? I see you, Voch. Yeah, he just tapped in.
Voch Lombardi in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
the volume.
Try to slide in the back door. Let me talk to him.
Let me talk to you.
What everybody's saying, Voch Lombardi. Yeah.
Look, I'm about to get a wrestling podcast with you because I got too much of it just in me. I need to get it out. Dog. I got to talk to somebody about it.
Let's do it. Real talk. Let's do that.
For real, bro. Yeah, seriously. Before I get to the last part of this, I wanted to switch it up. I want to do something to involve the viewers here. If you don't mind, an Ask Pat kind of portion to end out each segment, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start it now so we can get some questions in there. If you got a question for Pat, hashtag Ask Pat, and we'll see if we can get some questions answered on kind of like a 2-minute warning type situation where we're kind of just doing the rapid fire. All right. So Ask Pat, hashtag Ask Pat, drop it in the chat and bars. And we'll get to it when we can. But before that, last part of the article of Battle Lines was the biggest challenge. And I really didn't think of this challenge, Pat, until you brought it up. And it was about the mobility of a lot of these quarterbacks, which is another reason why you kind of want to have a deep defensive end pass rush unit and athletic one at that. But when you rattled off all the names, I was like, damn, half the schedule is going to be against guys that are going to be pretty mobile. So that was kind of your biggest challenge. Is there really anything else on the schedule that you think is going to challenge the Cowboys from a week in, week out basis for the defense ends? I mean,
I don't like that the Cowboys have 4 of their first 6 games on the road. That's not pleasant whatsoever. But and I said this in my schedule review after the schedule dropped. I said we're going to find out by the bye week. By the time week 7 comes around, who the Cowboys are. We're not going to have to wait to find out. We'll know who they are. But as far as the biggest challenge for the defense, it's going to be consistency against these mobile quarterbacks. You saw how Aaron Rodgers was able to, buy time as he typically does against the Cowboys and mount a comeback in Green Bay. Well, guess what? Aaron Rodgers is back on the schedule this season, albeit with the New York Jets. Cowboys more or less own Daniel Jones, but we know Daniel Jones can make plays. And then they went and got a guy like Jalen Hyatt, who I was high on coming out of Tennessee. So, and I, as an SEC guy, be careful. Jalen Hyatt is a whole problem. So you get Daniel Jones another weapon, and you have that mobility there. So Kyler Murray, yes, you lose DeAndre Hopkins with Kyler Murray, but guess what? Mobile quarterback. The Cowboys have struggled with mobile quarterbacks more or less over the past however many years. Justin Herbert, he's a big guy, but he's not Peyton Manning. He has a little bit of mobility there. You know what Jalen Hurts can do mobility-wise, and you know what Josh Allen can be mobility-wise.
Yeah.
The key point here is, if you look at the Cowboys' schedule, more often than not, they're playing a quarterback that either has outright mobility, e.g. Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, or guys who can extend plays, e.g. Daniel Jones and Aaron Rodgers. So this pass rush, they're going to have to make sure they remain disciplined on a consistent basis. And I'm also looking at Sam Williams when I talk about that as well, because Sam tends to have such a motor that he, again, pit bull on the leash, right? When you unleash him, all he sees is the meat. He just wants to go and get the meat. Well, careful there, young man, because not every time you're going to be able to do that. You got to recognize play and pre-snap and say, okay, well, maybe I fake the blitz and then I come off and I stay put because in the zone, because, you know, he's going to try to get it over my head. And then you bat down passes. So consistency of disruption is going to be key. Staying sideline to sideline to keep these guys from escaping, these opposing quarterbacks that have this mobility, keep them from escaping so that the interior guys can go up and collapse that pocket. And that's how the plays are going to have to be made. So one hand is going to have to watch the other.
Yeah.
Can the Cowboys be the best defense in the league? Yes. They were damn near close to being it last year. And in some categories they were. Can they outright be it this year? Absolutely. But are the tests going to be there? Almost weekly. The tests are going to be there. The schedule is no joke. So from a quarterback perspective alone, the Cowboys defense better come ready to play.
You said one hand is going to have to wash the other. I think that was a problem last year that saw the pass rush kind of fizzle towards the end because the hand that wasn't doing the washing was the cornerback too. So teams absolutely targeted that and got the ball out quick or was able to just go on that side of the ball. And we were all like, why aren't we getting sacks? But it was right there in front of us. It's because teams could just get the ball out against whoever they rolled out that day at cornerback too. Different story. Try doing that to Stephon Gilmore, Trayvon Diggs, or if Deron Bland slides out there, they move Izzy or J-Lo. It's a whole different story now. I think this defense complements each other from top to bottom. And again, we didn't even really dive into the interior, but the interior is going to be crucial in that as well, in my opinion, Pat.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that in minicamp I was seeing Mozzie Smith lined up in sets to the right shoulder of Jonathan Hankins. I think that's an underrated item that I wanted to point out to everyone because it basically confirms what Will McClay and Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy have been saying, and that Mozzie Smith's ability to flex as a pass rusher in the 3 technique. Maybe he sees some edge work to kind of mix things up every once in a while, but he's going to be able to stop the run. They know he can do that. He did that at Michigan. There is no question that's going to be the case. So he's going to be on the field sometimes when Jonathan Hankins is not there. He's going to be your definitive nose tackle when Jonathan Hankins is not on the field. But that doesn't mean that the two won't play together because they absolutely will. And then you throw in Oso Digizua, what he can do, Chauncey Golston trending upward. And then we'll see if Neville Gallimore can get back to the form he was pre-injury. Because I still believe it's in there, but I think that Neville Gallimore is mentally going through the same thing that Michael Gallup went through, that Jabril Cox went through / is going through, as far as that elbow injury was so devastating. Because keep in mind, Neville Gallimore was on schedule to be a breakout guy before he suffered that dislocated elbow in preseason last year before. So he's trying to get back to that, and it's going to be key that he does. But that notwithstanding, the interior defensive front for the Cowboys is as lethal as the edge rushers. So everything, all the pieces are in place there. They just have to be consistent and understand what they're up against on a week-to-week basis against some of the more mobile quarterbacks. And even if Kyler Murray doesn't can't play in Arizona, even if he doesn't play, that doesn't negate the other quarterbacks that I mentioned. So all in all, they're going to have their hands full keeping these quarterbacks in the pocket. And if they can keep them in the pocket, the edge rushers can. That allows the interior guys, Mozzie, Jonathan, Osa, Chauncey, to really get in there and collapse that pocket. And then where does the quarterback have to go other than to the ground? So there you go.
Facts. All right, look, let's go ahead and finish this thing off with Ask Pat. And we got a lot too, so I appreciate you.
We can take two. We can take two.
Two of them.
All
right,
we'll because I got to get to HQ.
I got you. We'll get two. I got it. So for the first one, I have to another legend in the building, Law Nation in the building. Shout out to Law Nation and Vach.
Law.
Yes, sir. He said, hashtag Ask Pat. Where are we at with kickers? Vizcaíno.
Not where we want to be. And that's not a knock to this guy. You know, he actually had a solid OTA and he had a very good mini camp. But training camp is where the position is going to be decided. And I'm of the mindset that Vizcaino could have gone 100% accuracy on field goals in every single practice through OTAs and minicamp, and I still would be sitting here saying, "Go get a proven veteran," because I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of worrying about the kicker. I'm tired. I'm tired of worrying about. I miss the prime Dan Bailey days when you just knew that when Dan Bailey trotted out there, dude, you could go get a sandwich and just know that when you came back, that field goal was going to be made. I miss those days. I yearn for those days to return. May not return for quite a while, but what the Cowboys can do is make sure they put themselves in a position where they don't necessarily have to worry about it as much as they have in the past. Shouts out to Brett Maher for having a resurgent year, but then the wheels fell off at the wrong time. And Vizcaino, he's unproven. He's a young journeyman. Yes, he's only in his mid-20s, but, you know, this is like his 8th or 9th team, second time with the Cowboys, didn't stick in 2020. Can he get the job done? Maybe. But where's my competition? Yeah. You need the competition there. So Robbie Gould is out there. I'm a big fan of Mason Crosby and Gould as well. But Mason Crosby, pre-existing relationship with Dan Quinn. I know some people are in on Ryan Suckup, some people are out. Main thing being, you have options. Go and get one or two of those options. You have 2 roster spots available right now. You're only carrying 88. So go and get 2 kickers if that's what you want to do. But get at least 1 kicker, because don't go to Oxnard with just Vizcaino. Push him. Yeah. Don't let him get comfortable. You need to make sure that he is uncomfortable every single day, because that's the only way you're going to know if he can deliver under pressure. And if he can't, you need to know it in July and August, not in September and October, and most certainly not in November and December.
But it sounds like they're going to do that. One more, and this is kind of a teaser to this position group that and hope maybe we will be talking about next in the next few weeks. Ask Pat from Twan Myers, do you see Devin Harper getting more playing time this season?
Good question. TBD.
It's a bit of a light room after the starters, you know.
TBD. Yeah. I have such a massive question mark behind Damone Clark and Leighton Vander Esch. I mean, it's unnerving how concerned I am. Now, it's no secret. I love Brillo. I love Jabril Cox, but I've had these conversations with Jabril as well, and he understands that this is a pivotal year. This is the most pivotal year for him as a young NFL player. He's now had a great bit of time removed from suffering the torn ACL. Good news is he looked really good in minicamp. He was getting red zone PBUs, and the defense swarming him, because one of those would have been, in that situation, would have been a game saver. But if he can step up and be something major, then he gets to challenge Overshown for that LB3 situation, but also keeping in mind Overshown is going to get flexed. But as far as Devin Harper is concerned, I'll put it this way. If you're on the field in Oxnard, you have an opportunity to not only make the roster, but to make an impact. So simple answer, yes, he has a chance. He absolutely has a chance because he's on the roster. Is he kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit? Not as much as wide receivers chasing that 4th or 5th seat would be. And what I mean by that is the Cowboys desperately need somebody to step up and be LB3. Now, you'll look at Jabril, you'll look at DeMarvion, but it's still wide open right now. And because it's wide open, yes, Devin Harper still has a solid chance. So does Malik Jefferson to step in and do something special for the Cowboys. But they're going to have to hit the ground running in Oxnard. They will not have time to have, a week of bad practices, 2 weeks of bad practices. They have to step on the field.
Nuclear camp.
They got to step on the field day one. Malik Jefferson and Devin Harper, they got to step on the field day one and start making waves to try to disrupt what might be going on with the upswing on Jabril Cox and the excitement around DeMarvion Overshown. So yeah, he's definitely got a chance.
All right, man. Look, let's let you get down there to the star and keep getting us this goodness, man. Appreciate you, Pat, coming through and giving us the science as you do on a scientific method today. Good brother. Love you, man.
And love you, man. Blessings as always. Talk to you guys next time.
Patrik No C Walker, ladies and gentlemen, of DallasCowboys.com, blessing us with our weekly dose of the science. Man, I will forever be grateful for that. I'm sorry. Just seriously. Lots to get into once we get down there to camp, and we are just kind of kicking off our countdown to camp battles. The other day, we talked about undrafted free agents. Come on, get out of here. Today, we talked about defensive ends with Pat. Next week, we'll keep that up. As soon as somebody saw the phone line and decided to call in, I got you in a second, 972. Hold tight. If you want to call into the line, 351-999-3787 is the call in line. If you guys appreciated that there, please drop the fire emojis in the chat, man. And shout out to my brother from another, Vosh Lombardi, dropping in here, Law Nation dropping in here. And as soon as I say something I was thinking about say something about the community, Brother L.
Super chat.
Just dropped a $5 super chat, said, peace to all the Cowboys content creators in attendance. It's like a family reunion. The Nuance Media. Shout out to Professor O in the building. Hashtag Studio 2023. Appreciate you, Brother L. And I like the NU, you know. And see, you know, me and Voch supposed to get the shirts. The Nuance World Order. It's happening. I already talked to Voch about it. We got to get this. We have to get these shirts made for camp and distributed to the Nuance World Order, man. All right. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. I always do. I mean, I could do a whole damn show with Pat for an hour, 2 hours or what have you, but he got to get going. He's got to get down to the star and continue his work for DallasCowboys.com. We will repurpose this as we've been doing on Saturday and drop the entire show, the entire segment, if you missed it in the morning. So run that back. So here what we'll do, man. We'll jump into the phone lines right now, talk to you guys for a little bit, and roll out, man. Roll out. Law said, get me one in the hoodie. Here's the funny thing about Law. He's laughing because I don't know how Law does this. It'll be 98 degrees outside. Humidity takes this thing to $150. Law Nation cooler than the other side of a pillow will have on a hoodie and a blazer looking smooth and just not sweating. And I don't get it. I'm not even a sweater, but dog, if I had a hoodie and a blazer on, I would be hot as hell. Law just so smooth with it. So yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean with the hoodie, Law. I got you, man. We gonna get it popping. He is, bro. Hey, Montgomery, he that cool that he can rock a hoodie in that temperature and be straight. I don't know how the hell he does it, because I can't. Hell, sometimes I wear a hoodie in here and I be hot. That's Law Nation for you, man. All right, let's get the 972. What it is, what it do.
Howdy there, Skywalker.
Good morning.
First time caller.
Welcome to the show.
First time caller, but a long time baller.
Hey.
Pleasure to meet you. The name's Cowboy Jack.
Bars.
And no, lady, I won't be in the chat.
What's good, Cowboy Jack? I like you already.
I'm here to say what you can.
Uh-oh.
You're the best because you're analytical. Well, me, I'm the atypical, the clinical, even mythical Cowboy Jack. Ooh, wee, and I'm ready to spoon feed you some cowboy hype. Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah. Come on. Keep bringing it.
Where else to begin but with Captain Cowboy himself, Slickback Dak. And he's got a few shiny new 6-shooters on his hip. First up, his name is C.D. Lambhawk, because even though he's been eating since he got into the league, he's now ready to feed. On the other hip, old vet, who's been in the kitchen sweating and frying up some bacon. He's as hot as chicken grease, a culinary master who leaves his competition burnt. Brandon, you just got cooked. I could go on for days.
Oh, keep going.
I could go on for days, but I want to get to the defense.
Okay.
And sweet baby Jesus lying in a manger. I don't think the world is ready for what we're about to collectively witness. This next man makes giants quiver in their boots. He keeps flying eagles grounded and turns commanders into Washington privates. The man, oh man, the MVP, the monster of the week, mean Micah Parsons. And he's got a whole gang of hungry dogs. And the 3 bloodthirsty safeties, Malik Hooker, the Don, Donovan Wilson, and J. Ron, you'll think you've been cursed. And let's not forget about those big boy Cowboys up front, huh? Murder and Mozzie, and his guru, Big Hankins. Not to mention the old Bull D-Law, Slam and Sam. Duron, don't dare call his mama's cooking bland.
Come on.
Trayvon's gonna get your grade. Stephon, give me more. Woo! Give me another hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Let's go, Cowboy.
My man. Hey, Cowboy Jack, that was fantastic. Please do not hesitate to call back in again. My goodness. I mean, he just cut the hardest Cowboy promo. Y'all hear me? Okay. He just cut the hardest Cowboy promo that I have heard since I've been doing this. And there have been a ton. You know, Toxic is known for dropping some good ones, but wow. Wow. Val Venus meets Dusty Rhodes. A little bit, a little something. But that was hard. Like, I wonder if that was just off the dome. Cowboy Jack, you gotta let me know. Because if that was off the dome, you're a legend for that. Even if you wrote it down, it's still bars, you know? But if you Lil Wayne that, you a legend, dog. I'm clipping it, 100%. That's getting clipped. Cowboy Jack's a beast. Shout out to your brother L for dropping that.
Super chat.
That's my first time too. He said it was his first time calling in, you know? Shout out to him, man. Shout out to him. Professor O said he's pretty sure that was Kelly K9. Maybe. Because he be spitting on Twitter. You know, he does his whole Jerry Jones thing. Maybe. Hey, yeah, Nikki, I might have influenced him a little bit with the NWO shirt on, which is fine by me. You know, which is fine by me. All right, anybody else want to call in? We can. I'm getting up out of here. Got some things to do. I know I said I'd have the schedule for y'all. Not today. Tomorrow I should have the schedule for you. But I'll be here tomorrow. Another quick show. Then I got to fly out to the East Coast. I'll be back Tuesday. So no show Monday. I'll be back Tuesday, and then we'll kind of pick things up. Will I be back Tuesday? Depends on how the schedule goes. But I'll be back next week, and we'll pick up the rest of the Cowboys' work from there. Until then, we'll still be dropping things here. My brother-in-law will be dropping things over on the volume as well. Or Vach. I'm sounding like... Not Law. Vach. Vach will be dropping things on the volume as well. So, and then obviously the rest of the Cowboys content community will continue to keep things rolling. So you won't miss me that much. Shout out to Chris.
Super chat.
He dropped one and said, I can't wait to beat the out of the Eagles. 100%. As my guy, where is it at? Where's the roundup? As my guy, D-Law said, I don't feel like the gap is huge at all. No, sir, Bob. I don't think it's a gap, period. I wish you would have said that. Ain't no gap. Y'all just happening, you know. Get a little better draw last year. That's all that was, my opinion. CT said he screen recorded that thing. Shout out to you, CT. I'm dropping that probably later today when I get back from doing what I got to do. All right, let me get to the super chats that I might have missed if I did. And if I didn't, we're going to roll, man. Where we at here? Today, boom, 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 boom. A couple of them out there, peep. Stephen Clark dropped one earlier. I think just
super
one.
Super chat.
He said, let's start the show. Chappelle. Talking about the Chappelle show interest. And then, yeah, brother L. Gene. I did miss one by L. Gene.
Super chat.
He said, push up the middle could literally win a game or two by the defense alone. Facts, L. Gene. And I'm pretty sure that'll be a group we'll focus on next week in our State of the Unit address. No Pat next week, I don't believe. So we'll talk about that amongst ourselves. But definitely going to focus on that next week. I got you, LG. I got you, Rick. Other than that, man, Ms. Chandra said, can't wait till Voch and Still connect with the other content creators on their own TV network. Man, that'd be dope. Beautiful part is Voch and Still can still do this in volume because we deep. You know, that's a dream, man. I've always dreamt to want to have my own network or whatever, and then social media happened, and now you're seeing how this community is, like, quite literally could do a show from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. You could literally do that. Some things are in the works. We'll just say that, but it'd be dope. All right, man. With that said, good stuff today. I appreciate y'all for coming in, listening to my guy, Pat No C Walker, drop the science, discussing the defense and end room, and then just tuning in general, Bomb Squad. I really do appreciate it, man. It is not something that I take lightly. With that said, Thirsty Thursday, make sure y'all drink responsibly. We'll see y'all tomorrow. I think we're going to do a mailbag. I saw a lot of the hashtag Pat segment was pretty dope. So we're going to try to take some of that and turn it into the mailbag, man. All right. Love y'all. We out here. Peace. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that, bro. The wrestling pod, even if it's just recorded, just which outlet should I do? Should I start another YouTube, Twitch? Too much goodness not to talk about it.